It's the weekend, so we're back under the hood of the Jeep, and today we're going to replace all of the fuel injectors. Safety first, let's disconnect that battery. I already got my air intake system out of the way, but we're also going to need to remove this throttle body cable. So it's just a couple bolts. There's one down here, as you can see, and then there's one right down here. We'll just go ahead and undo those and kind of flip this out of the way. So I went ahead and moved that cable out of the way. As you can see, I just kind of zip tied it here. And now I have free access to all of the fuel injectors. I did another complete video on how to undo these over-engineered, idiotic plugs that are on the top of the fuel injectors, how to get those stupid little safety red things out of the way. Basically, all you got to do is take a screwdriver and slip it in the side, kind of give it a little twist, and they'll pop right up. So you can either watch that video, or I will quickly demonstrate here what I'm talking about. Slip this screwdriver. It's very long, very small screwdriver. Slip it in the side underneath the little red part, give it a little twist. It pops straight up, and now that plug comes right off. Let's move on. With all those little wires and plugs out of the way, we can now see the top of all of our fuel injectors, and we just need to go ahead and disconnect the fuel rail. That's 4 more bolts. Pretty obvious. Just go ahead and undo those. There's our fuel rail with all the bolts that hold it in place taken out. You can see, pretty simple. Where the fuel injector meets the fuel rail, there's a small metal clip, and each one of these are going to have to be taken off as well. As you can see, just kind of slip a screwdriver in on each side, wiggle them around a little bit. Try not to cut your fingers, they're kind of sharp, and they'll pop right off. On this vehicle, you're going to have 6 of them. With all those clips undone, it's just a matter of getting a hold of the fuel rail and working slowly. You're not in a rush here. You want to make sure you put balanced pressure on this fuel rail so that you don't break it, bend it, kink it, anything like that. It has to come off as one piece. So you want to loosen one section at a time, putting equal pressure around those fuel injectors. Depending upon how old the vehicle is, will depend upon how stuck the fuel rail is. So just be patient. Don't use anything to pry this off. Just try to use your hands, try to use your arms if you can, and eventually it will pop right off. Now, some of the fuel injectors will come with it, some of them won't, but once it's up, we just need to kind of move it out of the way slightly so that we can continue on with our repair. And here you can see that I'm disconnecting the remaining fuel injectors from the fuel rail. Some of them can be a little tight in there, so just kind of work with them. Again, we're not in a hurry here, so be patient, work slowly, try not to bend or break anything. They're basically held in by an O-ring gasket, and it can be kind of a pain, but they will eventually pop loose, and you're also going to have to pull out the ones from the engine itself as well, the ones that aren't on the fuel rail. So work with the ones on the fuel rail first, get those out of the way, and then go ahead and pull out the ones that remain in the vehicle. As you can see, I got all the old fuel injectors lined up here. Take a look at them. These are 1-hole fuel injectors. I'm going to be replacing these with 4-hole fuel injectors. Kind of give you a bit of a close-up look here. A little better light, a little better focus. So these are the old ones. Now, these have been in this vehicle for, 17 years since the vehicle was built, considering that it is now 2020 and this is a 2003. So here we go. That's what they look like. At least that's what the old ones look like. Let's take a quick look at the new ones that are going in. Perfect condition, as you can see. And flip it around, and hopefully you can see that these are 4-hole fuel injectors. So I should get maybe a little bit better performance out of this thing, maybe a little bit better fuel economy. Who knows? Hard telling. If you purchase the same fuel injectors that I did, these blue O-rings may or may not be attached. These need to be put on each one of the individual injectors on the top where it inserts into the fuel rail. The easiest way that I have found to do this is to mount each one of the injectors into the fuel rail first, replace all of the metal clips, and it's going to be a lot easier to slide this as one piece back into the vehicle. At this point, it's just a matter of lining everything up. You've been paying attention, so I know you're working slow and deliberately here. Get everything in line, give it a little shove, and it should pop right into place. The fuel rail with all of our new injectors is in place, so now it's just a matter of plugging in each one of those plugs on the top of each one of the fuel injectors. The hardest part of this project is now completed. You just got to go ahead and reinstall your throttle body cable and whatever air system you may have that may or may not have been in the way of doing this project to begin with. Quick pro tip time here. Before you junk all your old fuel injectors, pull off each one of the O-rings. Try to take them off as cleanly as you can. Try not to rip them. Try not to break them. These are better to have than to not have. If for some odd reason you need to replace a fuel injector O-ring, you're going to be glad that you kept some old ones, because a pack of these things can run upwards of $70. So it's worth the time just to take a couple off all of your old injectors. Well, I have the throttle body cable back in place, the air system's back in place, everything appears to be good to go. Time for the moment of truth. Proof of concept. Quite honestly, my near-historic vehicle Jeep here sounds better than she has in years. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, you know I'd appreciate that thumbs up like. Feel free to follow us on Instagram and see what projects don't make it to video. And maybe, just maybe, I'll see you on the next video. If you enjoy videos about the randomness of our amazing world, consider clicking on the globe to subscribe, or maybe checking out one of the other videos right here.